I wanted to talk this morning on two subjects. First subject will be testimony, so that there's an understanding about the second subject. So the first subject is my testimony. In case any of you did not know, I share with you now, for 20 years, I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. That experience was both positive and had some lasting negative effects on me psychologically, and some of you are privy to that information, and some of you are not. So I'm sharing this with you primarily because one of the things that has come to light through my meditations and my prayers is the restoration. So there's a need, a profound need for restoration for those who have been disillusioned, hurt, crushed, and broken by whatever religious organization they have belonged to before. And honestly, what happens is you become so sad, so disconnected, that you no longer want to belong to any kind of religious group, because you can't trust people anymore. You just can't. And you can't trust people that are benefiting on your back. You feel like you've really given so much, and you're not really receiving back what should be normal and right. Love, peace, joy, kindness, goodness, mercy, friendship with the people, fellowship, true fellowship in love with each other. So I have a very strong calling in this direction to put it out there for anybody who may be interested in revisiting their spiritual journey after they've disconnected from some group. And it doesn't have to be JW. It could be any fundamentalist group. I was talking to another minister on Thursday, and then after that I made a prayerful plea in understanding that. And apparently this is a huge need. There's a lot of people that are lost. They want to be connected to other people, but the fear factor is so great that it's just a chasm that is unsurmountable, unsurpassable. And so we want to extend ourselves in this ministry and the associate ministers in this ministry to restore you to you. Not to restore you to a faith, not to restore you to a religious group, not to get you to commit to anything in particular, but restore you to a new awareness of your own power in spirituality, your own journey, to reconnect you to the great I am, the great inner voice that resides within each of us, and to celebrate that in a meaningful and powerful way in your life, to help you to revisit love in its fullness. And so I wanted to share that with you this morning, and then explain the freedom that's involved in that process. And so quite often what happens is we believe that there's certain things we have to do, certain ideas and certain activities, certain rituals, certain practices that we have to engage in order to qualify.
I didn't get that. Oh my God.
In order to qualify as a minister, to qualify as a spiritual person, to qualify as a member of a group. One of those things is turn your phone off. So, if anybody else has their phone on, turn your phone off.
I'm looking.
So, we're people. And so, coming up on March 23rd is the Memorial of the Christ, which is celebrated by millions of people all over the world. It is the sharing of the emblems among the anointed, and in my experience, I, for 20 years, so desperately felt compelled to take advantage of that blessing, that special, a special arrangement, and never did because of fear of man. Fear of being ostracized, fear of not conforming and fitting into the group that I was associated with. And so being a spirit child, being aware that I am a child of the Most High God, understanding my intimate relationship in my experience, in my journey with Christ and with the Christ consciousness. I want to invite individuals to take advantage of that opportunity to participate in this feast. And for those of you that are unaware of what that is, so if you go to a general Protestant church, or some Baptist churches do it, but Catholic churches especially do it, they offer you the bread and the wine, or the body and the blood of Jesus Christ. What this does is this puts you in union with the mysteries of the faith. As a Jehovah's Witness, this meant that you had a special relationship with Christ and with Jehovah God. And for those of you that are unaware, Jehovah is just the name of God in the American version of Yahweh. So for that purpose, the individuals that partook of those emblems said that they were called. They felt an affinity, a deep spiritual relationship to both God and Christ. And it was only a select number of individuals that did that. And the number was supposed to be dwindling over the years because of Christ's millennial reign, and he's coming back. And most of you know that in fundamentalist Christianity, that Christ will return. Well, Christ is already here. So he's in our heart. He's in our mind. He's in our realization of our love for each other. That's the things that Jesus taught as our great teacher. So the reason that I bring this up is because of this celebration that is coming up. And I want to make a very public cry to those who sat in the position that I sat in. They sat there and cried as the emblems passed, and were ashamed or afraid or coerced even into believing that they don't have that relationship, that they're not worthy of the relationship that others so openly celebrate. The reality is we all have that relationship. We all have a special connection, a unique journey, a unique relationship, a unique understanding of who and what God is to us. In this tradition, as a Jehovah's Witness, this was a celebration of that. And that celebration wore on me very heavily every year. And so the last year was enough for me. It broke my heart to watch the emblems pass, and the only sister that I knew, who was my great friend, would partake, and there were snide comments and sneers and whispers about her behind her back, and I didn't want to be her. I didn't want to be her. So I know that I'm not alone in this mess. I know that I'm not the only person that's felt this way. And I know for a fact that there's a movement inside that organization that is attempting to change that thinking, which is a blessing, a huge blessing, because that speaks to the evolution of awareness in any religious group. And we certainly celebrate that, right? And I know that there are ones that have separated themselves from that group that would love the opportunity to celebrate that arrangement. And we do that here. We have done that here since our founding. We did it even before that at the Temple of Light, kind of on the down low. Now we're making a public declaration and an invitation to individuals that feel that this is part of their ritual, part of their tradition, part of their calling, part of their celebration of their spirituality, because we celebrate all spirituality here. We celebrate whatever unique way you feel comfortable expressing your divine relationship with the Most High. And we want to know what that is. We want to know what that is, and we want to be able to celebrate it in a way so that we can learn from you. Because we are all one, whether we're aware of it or not. You're raising your hand like you have a question.
Is human sacrifice okay?
No, human sacrifice is not okay. In love. In love. One human sacrifice is enough for all time.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. No.
Self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice is perfectly fine. We're all about that. We're all about that. it was important to mention it because I know that one of my ministers in training actually was invited to the memorial, and it kind of snuck up on me this year, and I almost forgot about it. You know, it almost slipped my mind. Not that I forgot that it was coming, that I forgot that I wanted to invite my friends to do that too, that I wanted others to see what it was that goes on and why that was so important to us. So if you have questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them for you. It's the celebration of the Last Supper. So it's that simple. You know, Christ said, do this in memory of me, and it's an annual event. You know, once a year, we do this in memory. We do this in memory, we will be doing it in memory here, not only of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, but also of the incredible lessons that we have learned through the teaching that he gave us, the awareness, especially from a metaphysical perspective, of what it means to be one, what it means to be whole, what it means to have a personal relationship with your spiritual divine maker, and how to express that in your life through deeds, not just through words. It's easy to say, I'm a spiritual person. It's a whole different thing to be a spiritual person. You know, being a minister is a verb. We were talking about that yesterday. Ministering is a verb. And I want this ministry, truly, really want this ministry to be reaching out to the community, to people that are in need, and identifying those needs. And that's what kind of happened in this conversation yesterday. I came to this acute awareness of a need. Now, I know of a number of young, disassociated witnesses that were about my daughter's age. And they left. They never looked back. I don't know if they're being spiritually fed. I don't know if they've come to an awareness of their spiritual need. I know that they enjoy being free from the bonds of man-made rules and regulations that we place upon ourselves, believing that that qualifies us for freedom. But the reality is it invalidates the ransom sacrifice of Christ. If Christ died for your sins, your errors, your mistakes, and helped you to realize the freedom of the relationship that you have with the divine Father, Mother, the universe, whatever you want to call that in your particular practice, then by saying I have to follow these rules in order to take advantage of it, invalidates it. It takes away all of its power. It takes away the whole purpose. And what is that? That's a shame. That's a shame. So understanding that freedom, exercising that freedom, means that you can think and do whatever you like within the confines of love. Love God, love your neighbor. Those are the rules. It's not that complicated. But you're free to do anything else that you want to do. Except human sacrifice. Some people just are really funny.
Well, that's not loving anybody.
Yeah, that's not loving anybody. That's not loving anybody. You're just so funny.
It is for the greater good.
So, it is, no, it's not for the greater good. So, take a serious subject and put some humor into it. So that was my message for this morning. It's not a big message. I just wanted to share that with you and let you know the direction that we're going. If you know somebody who's been hurt, you know somebody who's been bruised, somebody who's been damaged, somebody who's reaching out, someone who's not aware, invite them. Invite them to join us. Invite them to celebrate and reconnect to their spiritual home that resides within themselves. And I leave that with you. Namaste.